Welcome to the Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? It's we're playing the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to our Week 14 Steelers preview. I'm your host, Jim Sella, flying solo once again this week. Parlay and I did try to record an episode for everyone, but had some technical difficulties. Parlay is unavailable to record again at this time, so he gets an extra week off. He's paid again this week. Man, this guy's living the dream. Biggest news coming out of Steelers camp, the Ryan Shazier injury last week. Brutal injury in the first offensive series. It might have even been in the first play for the Cincinnati Bengals offense, quite honestly. Shazier tackled the offensive player. His head kind of got compressed. The recent reports today are saying he had spinal stabilization surgery. Not exactly sure what that entails. I did briefly text with our athletic trainer, Brandon. He said surgery like that, obviously he's not evaluating the guy, can't tell you exactly. But with a surgery like that, doubtful Shazier will be able to play again this year. Again, this all depends on the actual situation and being able to evaluate it. Shazier may not even be able to play ever again. So all our prayers go out to Ryan Shazier, all of Steelers Nation, all of the spread, everyone just kind of keeping their heads down and saying a prayer for this guy, hoping he can get well. We all want to see him get back to football, but we want to see this kid get back to full health before we even worry about football. So with that brings you into the Week 14 preview. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Baltimore Ravens. I will be at this game live tweeting from bet_the_spread or at betjimtowin. Actually, most likely I won't be live tweeting because I hate when people are tweeting in games, and I hate when people's faces are in their cell phones instead of paying attention to what's going on in front of them. So the Steelers beat the Ravens already this year once. What was it? 26-9, I believe the score was. The Ravens didn't even score until the third quarter. Steelers had a big second quarter in that game. Le'Veon Bell rushed for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. They held the Baltimore Ravens offense to under 300 total yards. Flacco didn't have a very good game. Collins had an okay game. I think he rushed for somewhere around 80 yards. That's not too bad. But nothing really scary going on here in this Baltimore offense. Look, these guys, okay, so the one good thing I'll say for them, they're scoring 23.3 points per game. That's only 0.1 less than the Steelers at 23.4. So they're not terrible as far as points per game, but they're not exactly good either. They're 13th out of 32. Yards per game, this Baltimore offense, 30th, 31st in passing yards, and 12th in rushing yards, which is the one thing that's been able to help them run the ball well, play good defense, and that is what allowed the Ravens to get to 7-5. Now, as I sit here and say their offense doesn't scare me, they actually kind of are the exact model of team that has been given the Steelers problem this year. Not stellar quarterback play, but they've been able to run the ball well, and they've been able to play opportunistic defense, which has really helped out the offense. The Steelers struggled in the game against the Bears, couldn't stop the run. Bears were able to win that one. Steelers struggled against the Jags, turned the ball over way too much. Jags were able to run it. Now you have 2 losses. Baltimore, like I said, not a scary offense, but the exact type of offense that has been giving the Steelers trouble. If they can get Alex Collins moving, if Flacco can push the ball downfield, which he has had trouble with this year, so I'm not as worried as I was in the past. Flacco has really burned the Steelers on some deep balls in the past. Even just throwing them deep trying to get that pass interference penalty has worked out well for him. Torrey Smith was able to do it to the Steelers a bunch of times while he was there in Baltimore. They have Mike Wallace there now. Wallace not as good as he was when he was with the Steelers. I think he might have had one good year in Miami. I can't even remember. But ever since Mike Wallace has left the Steelers, he's pretty much just been straight garbage. So he doesn't scare me. Collins doesn't scare me. But the offense as a whole, if the Steelers come out and don't put points on the board early or turn the ball over early on the first 2, 3, maybe 4 drives, it's going to be a long day for Pittsburgh. If Baltimore can get up 14-0, 14-3, like some of these other teams have been able to do, it's going to be harder to come back in the second half against this defense than it was against some of these other teams that they played. Green Bay, Cincinnati, Tennessee, I mean, the Tennessee game was kind of a blowout, but the Indianapolis game, like all these games that the Steelers struggled in, they can't do that again this week. Baltimore's a familiar foe. Most of these games are within 3-4 points anyway, and the Ravens are looking to get some redemption. Listen, they're 10-7 against the Steelers since 2010. Pittsburgh is 2-0 in the last two meetings, and yes, we did mention that they won 26-9 earlier in the season. But the Ravens, they're scratching and clawing to get that wild card spot, and they would also love to knock Pittsburgh off that top pedestal in the AFC. Steelers got the Ravens this week, then they got the Patriots next week. Two huge games that will go a long way in deciding the playoff seeding for the AFC this year. On the offensive side of the ball, Antonio Brown's still dealing with a toe injury. I read that he sat out practice today. He sat out practice on Friday and Saturday last week and still was able to come out and have a big game. I think you're going to see Brown pretty much playing as much as he wants. He played every offensive snap last week, I believe. So he's going to play as much as he wants as long as he can keep getting it done, take some practice days off. This guy's such a workhorse. He has such a good work ethic. He's the type of guy that can miss a practice or two and still come out and dominate in a football game just because of all the extra work he's been able to put in. Let him come in, let him rest that toe a little bit, get some time, rehab, maybe ice it down. I'm not a doctor. You'd have to ask Brandon what the hell you're actually supposed to do for a bad toe. But you let Antonio do whatever the hell he needs to do, get better, and then come out and ball on game day the way he's been doing. Le'Veon Bell, pretty fresh for this point in the season. A lot of times people are harping on this guy, hasn't got through a full 16-game season, blah, blah, blah. Well, first of all, he did get through one 16-game season. Only one, so it's not like he's been playing through all of them. But Bell's played well this year. He struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year, kind of got his feet under him after week 2, 3, maybe somewhere around there. I expect him to come out and just keep balling. Antonio Brown leads the league in catches, yards, and touchdowns. Le'Veon Bell leads the league, I believe, in rushing attempts. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I know he leads the league in rushing yards, not in touchdowns. But Lev Bell balling again this year. 1,057 yards on only 270 carries. Now, I say only 270 carries like that's not a lot. If I carried the ball one time, my arm would break off and I'd be beat. This guy's carried the ball that many times. He's caught the ball I don't know how many times. Definite workhorse back for the Steelers, and they're going to need him this week, especially against this Baltimore defense. They're not going to give up a lot of yards usually. I was surprised that he was able to put up as much as he did the last time these two teams met. I don't expect him to go off for 144 yards again, but I do look to see Le'Veon get somewhere around 80-90 rushing yards, maybe 40 yards receiving. They're going to come after Roethlisberger. He's going to have to stay back there to help pass protect, so that could be the one thing that would work against him as far as trying to get some receptions in this game. Lev Bell, definitely one of the best pass blockers as far as running backs go in this league, so he goes a big way in keeping Ben Roethlisberger safe back there. The other big news this week, no Juju. Juju laid out Vontaze Burfict last week and then stood over him, taunting him after he did it. To me, it's old school football. Probably shouldn't have stood over him and taunted him afterwards. The league said that had nothing to do with their decision as far as to suspend him, but I don't believe that. I think that's most of the reason they decided to do it. It was on a national stage. Everybody saw it. The league wants to nip something like that in the butt. Try to cut down on those types of things, try to make themselves look like they're trying to make a safer place for everybody to play. A lot of people were upset. The Bengals player, George Iocca, I think is how you say his last name. I can't even remember. That guy, he had his suspension lifted. He was only fined somewhere around $36,000. So his suspension for the hit on Antonio Brown when he caught that touchdown in the corner of the end zone lifted. I don't think he should have been suspended. I don't think Juju should have been suspended. I'm perfectly fine with fines for borderline football plays. It's a violent sport. Everybody knows the rules, but there's going to be times where you're trying to separate the guy from that ball. The Bengals player just came out and said it. What type of player do you want? A guy who just stands there and lets Antonio catch the pass, or a guy who tries to do everything he can to break that touchdown pass up? So he did the right thing. I don't think it was a cheap shot. I don't think what Juju did was a cheap shot. Burfict was okay, although he did get taken out on a stretcher. I don't think Juju needed to taunt him. Definitely think that had something to do with the NFL's decision to suspend him, but no Juju, so Martavis Bryant gets a chance to step up. We'll see what he can do. I've really liked Martavis Bryant on the kickoffs this year. I'm pleasantly surprised with what he's been able to do the last 2 or 3 games he's been doing it. The first time he touched one, he had the Steelers' longest return of the season, somewhere around 34 yards. I don't like when they run the end arounds with him on offense. I don't like him running sideline to sideline. But, man, when this guy gets the ball in his hand on those kickoff returns, just running straight, he's so tall and his legs are so long. He's just so fast. He can go out and break one for a big gain. He had a touchdown called back in the game against Cincinnati. I'm not predicting that he's going to get one this week, but there's a real chance every time this guy touches the ball in that role that he can take it to the house. And it's nice to see maybe the Steelers have finally solved the kick return problems that they've been having. Now they just got to figure out the punt return, because with Antonio Brown having a bad wheel, you don't want him back there returning punts and trying to make all those cuts and having everybody stepping on his feet in those big pileups. So you're probably going to have Eli Rogers doing that. Hopefully Eli can hold on to the football. I expect this to be a pretty even matchup again this week. Like I said before, most of these games are decided by 4 points or less. Both teams are playing very well at this point in the season. A lot of people are ragging on the Steelers, saying they aren't beating teams they should by as many points as they should. I'm just happy that they're winning. I mean, really, you harp on them when they lose the game, saying you can't do what it takes to win. Now they're doing what it takes to win. They're just not winning as big as people want it, so people are still mad. To me, it's just a case of people will always complain. Fans will always complain. They always want more. They always want something else. The team always needs to be doing what they're saying. I see idiots talking about Mike Mitchell moving to middle linebacker now to start in place of Ryan Shazier. Listen, if you really think truly, deep down in your heart, that Mike Mitchell should be the starting middle linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers now that Ryan Shazier is hurt, turn the show off right now, get in your car, drive down the road, find a bridge, and drive right off of it. Because there is absolutely no hope, zero hope for you in life. I just don't get it. How can anybody be that stupid? Why do you really think that you're going to move a safety into a position he's never played? I've also heard move Bud Dupree to middle linebacker. That's not going to happen either. You guys, just because somebody's athletic and fast, Dupree and Shazier have that same type of skill set, it's a totally different position. And for all the people saying that Dupree's not filling his pedigree as a first-round draft pick on the outside, he's missed time in a lot of the games. He's still trying to get his feet under him. The guy's probably barely played over 16 full regular season games. I mean, come on, cut him some slack. I think he's playing okay, playing well a lot of the times. He sets the edge pretty well. He's good in coverage. Is he getting the big gaudy sack numbers that you had with Porter and Higgins, or Gilden and Higgins, or Lloyd and Green, or Harrison and Woodley? No. But a lot of the sacks are coming from our D linemen now, and that's fine. The last I checked, the Steelers were second or third in the league in sacks. Who cares where they come from? Does it really matter? I don't care if Mike Hilton leads the team in sacks. As long as the team is still up in the top 5 in sacks overall, that's all I care about. Pressure on the quarterback's pressure on the quarterback. It doesn't matter if it comes the old-fashioned way. Those outside linebackers, especially TJ Watt, I've seen that guy make some great plays in pass defense. They're asked to do so much more than those other linebackers that I mentioned were before. It's a passing league now. So there's things that these people don't see when they're criticizing Bud Dupree. No, you're not going to move him the middle linebacker. The Steelers signed Sean Spence Tyler Medikevich is still hurt. I haven't read whether or not he's going to play. I don't think the official injury report is out yet. But they're not going to do some crazy move everybody around type deal. It's never going to happen. They're going to try to roll with what they got. They're going to play next man up, like Tomlin always likes to say, and see where things go. Is it the best idea? Who knows? I thought the defense looked lost last week after Shazier came out. Medikevich and LJ Fort tried to fill in. They struggled because they have to make all the play calls. Shazier is the quarterback of that defense. Late in the game against Cincinnati, you've seen Willie Gay start coming up towards the line of scrimmage, yelling out the plays, and then moving back to his position. I don't know what they're going to do now. Mike Mitchell's been battling an injury, so I don't even know if he's going to be able to play, because you could just let him make all the play calls from his safety position. He could just take a few steps up, call the plays, and then kind of trail back to where he was. I've seen a lot of teams do that. I think Ed Reed used to call a lot of the plays, even in the Ray Lewis era, just because Ed Reed was able to see the field a little better from further back. So who knows who's really going to fill that spot? I think we'll all find out, obviously, the first time the Steelers defense takes the field against Baltimore. I'll be in the stands screaming, cheering for whatever Steelers players are out there. This is going to be a great, great football game in the month of December, where the Steelers, I believe, have only lost 1 or 2 games over the last 2 or 3 years. They're playing very well. The Ravens are playing well. It's going to be a slobber knocker, as my old friend Jim Ross, I believe his name was, from WWE would like to say. So my keys to victory for this game, I believe when I talked to Parlay, he said that, what did he say? The offense needs to not turn the ball over, maybe is what he said. I don't know. I honestly don't listen to him every time he talks. As far as my keys to victory, the Steelers got to come out fast. And that's a no-brainer, but they really got to come out fast. They cannot fall behind Baltimore like they've been falling behind in some of these other games early against Green Bay, against the Colts, against the Bengals. Those teams didn't have a defense to be able to stop the Steelers' offense. The Steelers' offense is going to run into a brick wall when they come and play Baltimore this week, because that defense for the Ravens, much, much better than the defenses the Steelers have faced recently. It's funny to say this, but Joe Flacco is a better quarterback than what the Steelers have faced recently. So this is going to be a tight game. So I want to see Pittsburgh come out, score a touchdown on the first drive. Honestly, get a first drive touchdown, not a field goal. Stop relying on Boswell to win all these football games for us. I know the kid can do it, but you don't want to put that much pressure on him. Come out, let's get up 14-0 or 17-3 by like midway through the second quarter. Do something to pull ahead of this Baltimore Ravens team and force them to become one-dimensional. If you let them run the football and play good defense, it's going to be a very tough game, and the Steelers may not come out on the winning end. As far as my official prediction goes, man, always going to be a close game. I don't know if the Steelers' offense is going to play as well as some people think. It's got to still be in their head about Ryan Shazier. I know some people are saying, oh, you're going to use it as motivation. That's still going to be distracting. One of their teammates is laying in the hospital, and nobody's even let us know if this guy can move or feel his legs yet. We have no idea. There's been some erroneous reports, nothing confirmed. The Steelers have confirmed nothing as far as feeling in his legs or movement. So it's a scary thing. Ben Roethlisberger pointed to this incident as a reason why he's been contemplating retirement. Stuff like this is a wake-up call. So, I think the Steelers are still slightly distracted, but I do think they can do enough to win this football game. The Ravens are playing better, but they're not a great football team at this moment. The Steelers are definitely the better football team. The offense is definitely better than Baltimore's, even without Juju. I think Martavis Bryant will be able to step in. And I honestly think you might see him have his first 80 or 90-yard receiving game. I think Bryant gets somewhere around 5 catches for 80 yards and maybe a touchdown in this game, quite honestly. But I don't think the Steelers' offense is going to light up the scoreboard. I think I said 18-14 the last time me and Parlay talked. I think I'm going to stick with that. I think the Steelers squeak this game out 18-14. God only knows how they're going to get these 18 points. If Martavis doesn't score a touchdown, maybe Boswell just kicks 6 field goals, and that's the way the Steelers win. That's the way their season's been going recently, so who really knows what's going to happen. But you heard it here first, folks. 18-14 Pittsburgh. Steelers squeak it out, move to 11-2, make that showdown with New England crazy important for the #1 seed in the AFC. Man, I know it's not Monday Night Football, but all my rowdy friends are back for Sunday night. Ball.